guys, welcome back to Sunday's market recap. We're going to take a look and see what has happened essentially here in the past week and what can we expect for the week ahead. So as we know, we want to always start with Bitcoin dominance. And once again, Bitcoin dominance is the weighted market cap as far as a percentile, how much influence Bitcoin itself has over the overall market. So when we were looking at the Bitcoin dominance last week, we were looking at where price was going to be falling, which is right into the supply zones just below where we currently are right now. And our expectation is that it's going to continue to drift there. So currently right now, it's at a minor level of support. But when we look at the whole grand scheme of things now, we can see that Bitcoin has clearly had some challenges going higher and reaching all-time highs, period. So we continue this drift downwards, which if we were to take an understanding of the data that we see here on the chart and to give it a storyline. Essentially, since Bitcoin's creation and the advancement of altcoins, what has continued to happen over time is the innovation and technological advances with what specific altcoins or the altcoin sector itself is wanting to achieve by whatever that particular token and or project wants to do. It continues to eat away at the market share of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has its own specific utility, whereas altcoins individually have their own. And what happens is the continuing growth of that sector will continue to have more influence over the entire market itself, while Bitcoin itself continues to lose dominance over the entire market. So I'm sure you guys who have been in crypto for a little while have noticed that over time, especially here in the last 2 years, that when Bitcoin is consolidating sideways or is going down, there may be a random altcoin that just defies all odds and or nature of the market itself and will rally. And what that is to say is that there are also other factors like news that an individual coin and or project can not follow trend, and we see more of that now than we have in the past. And that's because overall Bitcoin's dominance of the market is continuing to drift lower. And one other really big intel for that is right here, which is one of our tools called Fusion, which is tied to one of our premier indicators called Paradox. And so the Fusion itself gives us a bias of where the overall direction of the market is currently. So what I would want to do is continue to see Bitcoin dominance drift lower down into these areas, right down in here, which is where we have major support. And as we look left here in January 2018 and May of 2018, we had a retest in this area. And so currently right now, we're just right above that. So I expect some more consolidation in this area, which could give us further indication that we might see altcoins pump a little bit harder before Bitcoin falls down into these support zones and pretty much reverses, and we might see another pop before we continue lower. So that's where we're at with Bitcoin dominance. We want to see if we're going to continue sideways consolidation as it continues to fall lower, tread lower slightly, and hit this major area of support here, which has been proven as support for us. Okay, perfect, guys. So now we are on the altcoin index chart. And once again, for our new viewers, what is the altcoin index? It's essentially the inverse to Bitcoin dominance. This is the weighted market cap for all of the altcoins that are currently on the market that have market share. And so you notice that this is completely different from what we just saw with Bitcoin dominance. And our great trusty tool here, Fusion, is telling us that the bias is overall bullish. And if you look really at the market structure here, you can see that the altcoin index pretty much looks like Ethereum. And if we were to look at what's been going on with price action here, we've gotten some rounded area of support, which if we look to the left here, which is something you always want to do when you look at charts, is when you're looking for price action, looking for areas of support and resistance, you want to see how they acted in the past and or historical values. So we see that we hit some area of support, which is why we bounced here in this area as of between June and July. And we pretty much have been trending higher since then. And so what we're looking at now is, given that the overall market is still, short term to midterm bullish, but long term, we probably have not hit a bottom yet, period, in the market, let alone with altcoins. We want to see if we can get price to continue to tread higher. And the reason why we want to see that expectation is because this area of resistance has not been retested, let alone the area right now that we're currently in. So when we look at Bitcoin dominance and altcoin index thus far, we know that there was major news on Friday with non-farming payroll, which is essentially the unemployment jobs numbers. And we didn't get much of a move in the market. And really, we want to see how the market reacts come tomorrow and the rest of the week, which is going to give us more insight to our bias overall, which is if we are going to continue to, slightly tread higher before coming down lower. And it's very possible because these areas have not been retested. Once again, Fusion is telling us that at this current moment, we are bullish on altcoins. And as well as we are consolidating when we're looking at the Bitcoin dominance. And we know that if we have consolidation, we expect to get some bullish price action with altcoins, period. So I would like to see, this area have some price action, which is areas that we have not really retested. We have, we closed below it and just sideways traded for a little while and then went lower. And so now we're attempting to retest these areas now, but also once again, that is determined by Bitcoin's price action. So pretty much we're looking at what is possible. If Bitcoin continues to trade sideways, then we expect altcoins to give us another pop or another pump. If Bitcoin decides to start trending downward, then we expect altcoins to follow suit. If altcoins decide to pop off at their own, then we can see that in various projects, which is what we tend to see throughout the week. So that's what's really going on right now with Bitcoin dominance and altcoin index. And so now we want to mirror what Bitcoin dominance is showing us with actual Bitcoin chart. And so we've been pretty much sideways trading once again. And this is a very, very prominent pattern that we tend to see in this market plays out over and over again. So considering that we've had bearish price action pretty much since we were unable to make a new high, break above the 70K level, we've had these wedge patterns continue to happen. And right now we're pretty much coming towards the end of that here now in the next few days. And so we have expectation that this is a possible outcome, as well as we have expectation that we could pop a little higher before we decide to pump lower. And the reason why is because there's still areas of support that have not been retested. Given the bull run that we had over the last 2 years, we're sitting in territories that have not been retested. So even though Fusion is giving us, once again, current price action, which is telling us that we're getting some bullish momentum However, as long as this pattern continues to play out and we struggle to continue upside movement, we could expect to see another dump. All it takes is some news about anything going on in crypto, and we see Bitcoin dump along with altcoins. So, guys, I want to continue to watch this flag pattern play out and expect a pop one way or another, rather if it makes a pump fake to the upside and then dump, or just dumps next. Wait for that to happen before you make a decision about what it is that you're going to do with your position in Bitcoin. Okay, guys, so now we're going to jump over to Ethereum. And like I said before, the Ethereum chart pretty much looks just like the altcoin index chart. And so now what we had last week was this little subtle movement that we've been kind of stuck in this range right now. And as you see where we are having some stalling, it's literally right above an area of resistance. And we dumped pretty much from 3,600 down to almost $1,000. And we bottomed out there, and that's because price action in the past found those areas as support. And what we're doing now is basically retesting broken support, which is now resistance. And if we were to pull out our trusty Fibonacci tool to give us a good, better understanding of what's going on here. Okay. And we see that the major resistance area is around 1900, really, more so than anything. So could we drift up into this area? It was very possible. However, once again, it really is determined by Bitcoin. If we continue to see consolidation of Bitcoin, then we can get more bullish price action with altcoins, period. Ethereum would tend to lead the way with that. But if we get a dump in Bitcoin, then we can expect to see our next leg lower. And from there, we could see a sub $1,000 Ethereum. However, I'm not saying that that can happen tomorrow or this week, but it's really a day-by-day play. Given the market hasn't fully reacted to the news on Friday, we expect to see follow-through price action on that news this coming week. So pay attention to what happens in the market overall and what is going on with your favorite altcoins and Bitcoin to determine what decisions you're going to make this week if you are either a trader or an investor. So we're keeping our eye on Ethereum. And so next up, this one was a pick by one of our members here, which is SNX, a very, very good project that has done a lot in this space. One that I actually like too as well. When we look at what's going on here, we see that price, pretty much held support from where it had bottomed out in the past. So towards the, much of the price action that we saw during this previous bull run, we hit those levels and revisit them and have currently held. So now if we were to take a look at, all-time high for this particular asset and determine, what is playing out here. So take a step back. We know Bitcoin dominance is trading sideways. We know altcoin index has been bullish. And considering that this is an altcoin and it pretty much has the same structure as many altcoins right now, we have some rounded bottom action where we've decreased in value anywhere between 70 to 90% for most of them. And we got our bounce. And so now we're looking at what is possibly going to happen next. And so we take what's going on here from a smaller time frame. Since the daily gives us a lot of data, we want to look in between the swing of things of what's going on. And as you see right here, we are currently trading above the resistance level at about 390. So we're at $4.11. And so now we are being met with previous areas of support that are now resistance. And if we, are unable to hold this area to advance higher, then pretty much the same thing, which what we talked about with Ethereum, we can expect maybe one more pop lower. And that comes if we are getting bearish price action from Bitcoin. If not, then we might revisit these areas, which if you were to look to your left, provides us with a lot of price action here in the past. And so once again, as I share this with you guys, anytime you're looking at the charts and you're looking at price action and you're looking at areas of support and resistance, you always want to determine what can possibly happen based on what has historically happened in the past. That is to give you some indication of, for example, if price reacted in a certain fashion at a level of support, we can expect that in the future, once it revisit that area, it may basically do the same thing, which is act as an area of support, which that has happened once, twice, and a third time now. And so now when we come to retest these areas that are now resistance, we can expect price to drift towards these areas. And we basically wait to see how price reacts. And that's pretty much how you look at TA itself, is support, resistance, and reaction. You want to be able to determine what you're going to do when price reaches these major areas to give you a bias that fits either your trade plan or your investing plan. So for SNX, that's pretty much what we're looking at, which is we're holding currently right now above a major area of resistance, which is the 38.2% of the overall move from its all-time high. However, depending on what type of price action we get from Ethereum and altcoins, as well as what continues to happen with Bitcoin, if we continue with consolidation, we might get another pop. And if so, it can be a very nice pop. However, if it's not something substantial, then we can expect price to come back lower, maybe a retest. And, that is case by case scenario. So number one thing you want to always keep in mind when it comes to executing a trade, or if you're average costing as an investor, you wait for the move to happen. Don't try to predict what's possible to happen. You want to have it if then scenario. If this happens, this is how you react. If this doesn't happen, what is your move? Okay, guys, so that's SNX. All right, so now also another treat for you guys from one of our members who wanted to take a look at Hex. This one has done massive, massive ROI in the bull run this year. This is actually one of the projects that I hold, and we've had some extremely crazy gains. So now taking a look at what's going on here, which is we're going to pull out our horizontal line and see that, okay, price stopped right smack in areas of support. And given that this coin was, sub penny and it went all the way up to 50%, there's a lot of data here to really interpret. And given this particular coin, Hex is, I always suggest when you want to know more about a particular coin, spend the time necessary in order for you to know more about the particular project. So this one functions a bit different from the other altcoins that we take a look at because it's not listed on any major exchange, and the utility and the makeup of how this ecosystem functions itself is a bit different than the rest of altcoins, but I suggest you guys go do your own research for that. However, what we're going to do is continue to look at the TA here. So we had an all-time high, 51 cent. And, we came down to about 3 cents. A lot of price action there in that area. However, now if we are starting to see a rounded bottom here, and once again, that always plays into mind when it comes to what's pretty much going on with all altcoins, which is there's a lot of room for this to move if it's going to hold this level of support. And once again, holding levels of support come from how the altcoin index performs, which is a direct reflection of how the Bitcoin dominance reacts. So if we continue to hold this level of support, currently right now at about 5 cents, then we want to see price come back at least to 14 cents. Can that happen right now? I would say no. But are there other areas of resistance that it has to conquer first? Yes. And how we're able to determine that is, once again, we want to go down a little bit further. Okay, so now when you take a look here, there is some resistance at about 6 cents. We want to always keep in mind that when you're looking at the entire move, there are micro moves in the overall movement that we saw as far as price action. And what you want to be able to do is look at these smaller areas of resistance when it comes to altcoins and crypto itself. And the reason why is because until we have definite and confirmed analysis that proves that we are, going back into a bull run and we've bottomed out, which I personally believe we haven't done just yet, you want to be able to have realized targets for what you're looking for, especially if you're trading. So when we're looking at Hex here, 6.8, 0.9 cents, 7 cents psychological level would coincide with Ethereum pretty much going to 1900, 1800 if we were to get that follow through price action on altcoins, period. And we know that that only happens once again if Bitcoin gives us the consolidation that we're looking for, and or if Bitcoin decides to continue higher. So I'm looking to see if we're going to continue to hold this area. And if we do, I'm expecting price to come up to about 6.8 to 7 cents and see how price holds in that area. And that's going to give us determination of what's going to happen going forward. So Hex so far looks really good. And I want to see this area visited. And that's really based on, like, once again, what happens with altcoins, what happens with Bitcoin dominance. Okay, guys. And now our last one here is Ethereum Classic. So this one has ran. It did a lot of movement here in the last week. And so you guys see this arrow here. This was here from last week's video. We were saying that we wanted to see price hold this level at about $32, $33, and we did. And currently right now it's retesting or attempting to retest its high, which it came up to about $45. If this high is met and there is bearish price action, meaning it retests, it fails to go higher, then we can expect the dump. And it's pretty much with all of them. However, this structure that we are having now, it's telling us that pretty much because it is Ethereum Classic, it's following what Ethereum is doing. And we want to see if price can retest the high that it made here in the last week. And if so, we would proceed higher. However, given the nature of the environment right now with macro, with the altcoins itself and crypto in its entirety, we're not expecting for any coins to make new all-time highs anytime soon. until the macro environment pretty much changed. The technical analysis is here pretty much to give us a blueprint of the possible scenarios what can happen for price action. So for Ethereum Classic, that's pretty much what we're looking for. We saw support being held from last week to this week, and we're currently in the nature of wanting to retest its high that we experienced. And, we pretty much only get two reactions, which is we retest, it fails, and it comes down lower, or we get a break, a retest, and a pump higher, which would put us probably around $51, $50, which is where we experience more resistance. So wait. It's always going to be my word of action is wait for the move to happen. Wait for confirmation before you execute any trade or you're considering dollar cost averaging. So guys, that's what's going on with the crypto market right now. And just a quick recap, we had major news on Friday. Friday kind of shook up the markets, but not too much price action. We had a little bit of consolidation in the markets over the weekend, and we're waiting for the US markets to open on tomorrow to see how investors are going to respond based on the data that came in on Friday about the jobs report numbers beating the expectations and how that's going to play into if we're going to see another rate hike for September. So guys, pay attention to price action this week on the crypto market. Like I said, currently right now, we are consolidating with Bitcoin dominance. We are slowly pumping higher on the altcoin index, which is reflective of the altcoins. However, what happens this week with Bitcoin dominance, if it continues to fall, will give us the follow through price action on altcoins. All right, guys, look forward to a great week. Happy trading, happy investing, and see you guys on next Sunday.